In this video, we are going to keep practicing graphing rational functions, just a little bit more complicated now. So, we're given a function, it is not factored, so we need to start by factoring. I know that I can factor the top into x plus 1 times x minus 1, and in the denominator, I need to take out a 4 first before I finish factoring this. So I'll get x squared minus x minus 2. I can still factor the denominator, so I'm going to do that. I get x plus 1 times x minus 1 over 4 times x minus 2 times x plus 1. Okay, so I can see that I will have two terms that will cancel out, which means we have a whole. And the reduced version of this will be x over 4 times x minus 2. Okay, so let's go ahead and start by finding, of course, the vertical asymptote. We're going to be using the reduced function. Okay, the only thing that will make the denominator equal 0 is 2. So we have an asymptote at x equals 2. Let's go ahead and graph it. Next up, we have horizontal asymptotes. I'm going to compare my exponents in the numerator and denominator. I see that they are the same, which means that I'll pull out the coefficients in front. So in this case, that would be 1 over 4. So y equals 1/4. All right, so horizontal line at 1/4, so just a little bit above the x-axis. About right there. Okay, we need some points. Let's start by finding the whole. We have a whole at -1. -1 would make those become 0. So -1 is the x value, and to find the y value, let's take -1 and plop it back in to our reduced function. So I'll have -1 minus 1 over 4 times -1 minus 2. Okay, so -2 over 4 times -3, which is -2 over -12, which is positive 1/6. Okay, so at -1, 1/6, we have a whole. Okay, so that's a very small amount above the axis. So I'm going to put a hole right here. I'm exaggerating it a little bit, but there it is. Okay, it is time to get some more points. Let's find the y-intercept. That means I need to make x equal 0, so I'll do 0 minus 1 over 4 times 0 minus 2, or -1 over 4 times -2, so positive 1/8, another tiny number. So at 0, 1/8, just above, but still below, above the x-axis, but below the asymptote. There we have it. Okay, let's go ahead and find the x-intercept. I'll have my equation, x minus 1 over 4 times x minus 2, set equal to 0. When I multiply both sides by the denominator, I end up with just the top. So you may have noticed this in the past videos and in our practice, is that when you're finding the x-intercept, it's actually just the top part. The bottom always gets canceled out when you solve. So when I solve it, I get x equals 1. Okay, so 1, 0 is also a coordinate. So we have 3 points that end up making this part of the curve. I still need 2 more on the other side, so I'm just going to pick 2 numbers that will give me something in this space. I'm going to go ahead and choose, let's do 4 and maybe 6. Okay, so when x equals 4, I'll plug it in. I have 4 minus 1 over 4 times 4 minus 2, which is 3 over 4 times 2, or 3 over 8. Okay, so 4 3/8. All right, 4 3/8. So that's a little bit more, or a little bit less than 1/2. So we'll just put a point right here. All right, actually, let's go ahead and do x equals 3 for my other point. I'll plug in 3. So 3 minus 1 over 4 times 3 minus 2. I get 2 over 4 times 1, or 2/4, which is 1/2. So 3 1/2, about right here, a little bit higher, just barely. We can fill in the rest, and we get our curve. And there you have it. Let's do this one here. Factor is always step 1. I can factor out a 2. Nothing reduces, so that means we don't have any holes. So let's go ahead and find the vertical asymptote. I'll look at the denominator, and -4 will make this equal 0. So -4, here we have it. For the horizontal asymptote, I compare the numerator and denominator. You'll notice in the top, we don't have an x, right? There's no x there. When this happens, or when the numerator is less than the denominator, automatically you have an asymptote at y equals 0. So you're just going to have to memorize that fact. Y equals 0. So here we go. Time to get some points. Let's find the y-intercept. Let's do it up here. Okay, plug in 0 for x. I get 4 over 2 times 4, which is 1/2. Okay, so 0, 1/2 will be on our graph. 0, 1/2. And I could try to find x-intercepts, but as you can see, we have an asymptote on the x-axis, which means that we don't have any x-intercepts. And if you try to solve for them, you'll get something impossible like 4 equals 0. And 4 doesn't equal 0, 4 equals 4. So impossible to solve, hence no x-intercepts. Instead, you're just going to pick a couple of numbers to fill this out. I am going to go ahead and let's do -2. Okay, so when I plug in -2, I'll have 4 over 2 times -2 plus 4. Or 4 over 2 times 2. 4 divided by 4 is 1. Okay, so we have -2, 1. Let's plot that. -2, 1. There's our first curve. Whoa! And I know I should have a coordinate or 2 points over here. So I'm going to choose x equals -6 to plug in. That should give me something that works over there. 2 times -6 plus 4. Let's reduce it. 4 over 2 times -2. Okay, so that's -1. -6, -1. Right there. Let's go ahead and plug in -5. I'll have 4 over 2 times -5 plus 4, or 4 over 2 times -1. So that ends up being -2. So -5, -2, right there. Now we can draw our curve. And that's how it works. Thanks for watching.